Today we're talking about Netflix's new show, Aunty Donna's Big Ol' House of Fun, and Jesus Christ, I'm exhausted. So I just finished the first season of Netflix's Aunty Donna's Big Ol' House of Fun, and before I get too far, I'll tell you, I love this show. Honestly, I thought it was fantastic. It personally filled a comedy void, scratched a nice little comedy itch that I didn't even know I had at the time. But before I get into more details of the show, I just want to point out that before seeing this show, I'd never heard of Aunty Donna before, never seen any of their episodes on YouTube. I've never really heard anyone talk about them. I've been totally out of the loop, apparently. And honestly, I still don't know a lot about them. I know they're from Australia. I know they've been around for about a decade, and they've got a whole bunch of videos on YouTube, so this Netflix show is just the tip of the iceberg. If you like the show, I recommend looking more. The show is at itself just a basic sketch comedy show. It's directed by Aunty Donna's own Max Miller and executive produced by big names Ed Helms and Scott Aukerman. I think anyone who has seen or followed any of Hot Soccer Mom's other work will notice a lot of similarities with this and Comedy Bang Bang. I think fans of Comedy Bang Bang will easily fall in love with this show. It was written by Aunty Donna, and I don't think Scott Aukerman or the Comedy Bang Bang crew necessarily affected any of their actual content, but it's pretty to see some influences at the very least in casting. Now, while most of the characters are played by our three mains there, Zach Ruane, Broden Kelly, and Mark Bonanno, just about every other character is played by some kind of common Comedy Bang Bang collaborator. We've got Paul F. Tompkins, Carl Tart, Tawny Newsome, Weird Al, and, of course, Scott Aukerman himself, believe it or not, playing a cop. I'll honestly be surprised if Lauren Lapkus doesn't show up at least once in the next season. It's just a whole slew of that comedy scene that show up on Comedy Bang Bang. And outside of those frequent collaborators, there's also a couple big little cameos from other folks. Ed Helms himself drops in there for an episode. Stars from Amazon's The Boys, Anthony Starr and Jack Quaid, they come in just for a couple small scenes here and there. As for the show itself, I'll tell you right off the bat, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel. The opening sketch is their song, Everything's a Drum. And it honestly felt like this was going to be one of those totally random shows that mistakes volume for humor. They come in with their big smiling faces, doing the dance, singing the song. I didn't know anything about what this show was going to be, and I didn't think it was the best intro. I think it's pretty easy to lose someone pretty quickly with this type of comedy if you don't kind of grasp them right off the bat. Of course, as with all of their other sketches throughout the whole series, I was judging it too quickly. It eventually turned into something much funnier than I thought it was going to be. I'll let you watch it and kind of make that judgment for yourself. But the main thing to note about this sketch and pretty much all the other ones is that they really swing for the fences on pretty much every sketch. The problem, though, is that when they strike out, it does feel like a bigger loss than it probably would otherwise. But it's really that same intensity that makes the good sketches land as hard as they do. I really think that if you stick with it and don't judge too quick, people who are fans of this kind of comedy will find it pretty easy to fall in love with pretty quickly. This show, much like others before it, Comedy Bang Bang, I Think You Should Leave, Stella, this show will have a pretty diehard audience and then also a huge faction of people who just aren't into it. It really honestly feels like an updated version of Stella, the old Comedy Central show with the guys from the state that was quickly canceled and really couldn't find a big enough audience. But now we're living in a post-Tim and Eric, post-Eric Andre world, and this show sits on pretty much the same level of absurdism as Stella did back in the day. Fortunately, this type of comedy is a much wider audience now, and I think Netflix will be a great place for this, and hopefully they build upon this type of comedy for Netflix and actually get some content out there that, people are looking to see. The show itself ranges from musical numbers composed by Aunty Donna's own Thomas Armstrong to self-contained sketches, overarching episode, and sometimes season-long gags. They break the fourth wall a few times and even get a few puppets in there. And while some of their bits are a little long, each episode is packed with so many skits that even if there is a long dud there, it's kind of nice to have a break from the show just because of how much is going on. And honestly, with so much stuff packed into each episode, it's hard to believe that the first season only has 6 episodes, and each episode is only about 20 minutes long. It's super bingeable if you want to watch it in one sitting, although I don't personally recommend that. I think it's better off, taking a break in between just to cleanse the palate. I will say there's a couple times in the show that it got a little too, again, in quotes, random, but honestly, that felt few and far between, and I often found that when a joke did feel like a dud, it was quickly followed up with some kind of twist on that joke that usually makes you forget that it was a dud to begin with, or kind of explains that, you judged the joke too quickly, and that wasn't even the joke they were going for. I do tend to wonder about the sustainability of a show like this. I think it'll be best served if it keeps this package exactly as it is, just a few short episodes every year, nothing that's going to oversaturate what's happening here, because honestly, I think that would hurt the show more than help it. Like I say, I really enjoyed this show, but comedy more than anything is subjective, and I know a lot of my close friends who certainly won't be into this, and I know a lot of people who are going to absolutely love it. I don't think it would be easy for me to recommend this to people, because I think it's kind of too far out there to where it would affect people's perception of my judgment, but I will say that I think it's great, and I think everyone should at least give the first 2 episodes a shot, and you'll know how you feel by then. All in, I say this is a solid 7 out of 10 for me. I really think these guys did a great job, and if they get rid of some of the randomness for randomness' sake, I'd probably rate it even a little higher. If you liked Aunty Donna's Big Ol' House of Fun, then I think you'll like my taste. If you didn't, don't let this review taint your opinion of me. There's plenty of other actually bad shows and movies that I actually love, and I think you should let those taint your opinion of me. Please, come back, watch my reviews, or don't. Do whatever you want. You're an adult. Thanks.